today, Banush. It's great to have you on Inner Edison. You've been on a bunch of the other stuff I'm part of, but I wanted you here because I want people to understand that Inner Edison is about your greatest accomplishments come from your greatest defeats. We all make mistakes. We learn from them. They make us who we are. And I think a lot of people are afraid to talk about their mistakes. I've had people on here who you ask them, how they made a mistake. And their biggest mistake is some people's nothing, right? And it's like, it's all by who you are. And because the mistake that affects you the most and can get you to where you go might not be the same for somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just so you know, I've known you for a while through the whole Steve Sims collection, right? That's how a lot of us are got together.
I think we met back in 2019, I believe.
Yeah, San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly.
You were at the San Francisco one, right?
That's right. Yeah.
When you could actually go out and do stuff.
Yeah.
Back then. Yeah. All right. So what is your background? I know your background. I don't want to assume that other people know your background, but I was shocked when you were on Aces 53, other show, and you were telling us that, what you used to, how you became who you were from where you were. So let's start there. Talk about
that. Yeah. So basically I grew up in India in a small town. And my career started at 15 working in a factory for $2 a day. And that factory was, like any other factory, like very hard work, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. And I wanted to figure out how to change my life. I mean, I learned a lot in that factory in those years, how to scale a business, how actually business works, what are the components of, a manufacturing plant, and how all of these things are orchestrated. So that gave me a lot of insight, but also it limited.
Hold on before you keep going. All right, don't tell your whole story yet. All right, so you're 15, you said.
Yeah.
How long did you work for this factory?
So I started like.
I have another question, so I just kind of want to know how long.
On and off, I started like working at 13 or 14, and then I was there until like almost 20. So like 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. And during that period of time, you learned all the manufacturing, where most people are just learning about girls and other stuff. You were learning about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right?
I was trying to learn about girls as well.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, you're focusing on how to better my life. My next question is, this factory, was this an Indian factory, or was this a factory doing America goods?
No. Totally Indian, everything sort of, almost. I have a picture of it, like all covered in smoke and furnaces and everything. So, yeah.
So they can get away with a lot more, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The conditions are not very safe there, to say the least.
All right. So you learned and I know I stopped you when you were explaining everything you learned, but I kind of wanted to set the stage so people kind of knew everything, how long it was. So it's about, let's just say 15 to 20. So about 5 years, you learned every aspect of the business. Is what I heard.
Right. That's right. And it gave me that hard work gave me a motivation to do something better with my life, improve my life. At that point, I had no idea what that could be and whether it was even possible. So one day I got some inspiration from some business magazines. I was going through some stories of these tycoons who had built their empires, and I thought to myself, if these people can do it, then anybody should be able to do it, including me. And what that meant for me, again, did not make any sense at that moment, but it shifted something in me. That inspiration, that sort of lightning strike of an inspiration that you get, it made me look at different opportunities, different avenues on how to make myself more valuable. And that led me to learning about computers and programming and technology. And I found that that really talked to me, that really became my passion. And I thought to myself, I'm going to do this technology thing even if it means no money at all, because I enjoy it so much. So I started going deeper and deeper into it. Then I came over to North America, started working in technology. but I got early success, but also got a lot of shocks as I was setting up my life in North America.
How did you come? Were you brought over by a company or?
No, actually, funny thing is, I met my girlfriend, who became my wife, and now she's my ex-wife, in the same computer programming institute where I found my passion for programming. So I also found my future wife there.
No, I'm just trying to find. How did you get to America?
Yeah.
Was that through
So,
schooling or?
so he was a Canadian actually.
Okay,
She was
okay.
actually born in Canada. So when we got married, we were from different religions. So in India, that's a big no-no. First of all, you're not supposed to find your own wife. Second of all, it should not be from a different religion. So we had that situation, and so we lived in India for about a year after getting married, and then we decided to move to Canada. And
So do a lot of Canadians go to India to go to school?
there is a big population, Indian population, in Canada, like people from India and second generation, third generation. So a lot of people go back to find their roots, visit family, and things of that nature. In this case, yes, her parents wanted to move back to India after a long time. They've been here for 3 decades, so they wanted to move back, and that's how we met.
Wow. All
Yeah,
right. So you're in Canada.
yeah.
Is that where
And
you?
then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So then, yeah, in Canada, I moved here in 1998. Got a job quickly. That was the dot com boom time,
Mm-hmm.
and things were looking good. But then dot com bust happened, and then September 11th happened. Gulf War happened. So I lost like three jobs within 6 months, 1 year or so, which forced me to look into entrepreneurship. So I started my consulting company, technology consulting company, Tetanodal Technologies. And I started consulting with a lot of startups, helping them build their technology, helping them build their business. And then also started consulting with Fortune 500 companies like Microsoft and Pearson Education. And for them, we built systems, global technology systems, which generated hundreds of millions of dollars and processing billions of dollars of transactions. So I got really good insight on how startups work, how small businesses grow, and then how large corporations work and how they make their money. So that was a very interesting contrasting experience between small and large companies. And then I got into, so professional success was not a problem, but success at home was a big problem. So I had obviously some resentment in my family because of me marrying somebody outside of religion. So I did not have good relationship with my family, with my parents, and I did not have particularly good relationship with my spouse, and things were falling apart at home. And then I had my firstborn child, and for whatever reason he won't connect with me, and that was really devastating, and led me to depression and suicidal thoughts. And I knew that I needed to find a solution for it. I didn't want to let my family down, my son down. So I went to various therapies, talked to a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists. Nothing really helped. I mean, they gave me a lot of insights, but nothing really helped me to fix my situation. So then I found meditation, and I started meditating, doing yoga, which really started aligning me and helping me understand my inner self. Because generally, what happens is we look at solutions outside, and I used to be like that, that person looking for solutions outside, and also blaming other people most of the time for my problems. That, okay, you don't understand me, you don't take the effort to listen to me. But when you start to go within, you start to find the answers inside you. So that's what started happening, and I started learning about human psychology and neuroscience. And in the meantime, I was getting very deep into artificial intelligence as well. So eventually I realized that artificial intelligence and our human mind is the same continuum, like the way that we think, that we consume information, how we create our worldview, and it impacts our reality, our worldview, our experiences in life. All of that started to come together, and I saw that as human beings, how we create our reality, and what is technology's role in our lives to help us shape that reality.
And what did you find out? I'm just kidding.
Well,
I'm
the
just back up a second.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
because that's all right. So you went from, went over the depression and stuff that you went through. I assume that you got divorced during that period of time, right? And
No,
then,
I got divorced during the pandemic.
oh, okay, pandemic. All
Yeah.
right. Where are you in the? Are you in the United States still?
No, I'm in Canada.
Canada. All right. You Canadians.
Yeah.
No, there's. I mean, it's amazing how many people are in Canada. I was interviewing somebody in Colombia, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's like, all right, I'm not interviewing about anybody in the United States anymore. Everybody's out of the country.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, and learning what you did about who you are and meditation and all that, I've never looked at it's the same way AI is. What you said.
Yeah.
How's that? Can you explain a little bit more on that before we move
Yeah.
forward? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. See, um, uh, AI is a way to, like, in a way, our mind basically becomes what we think about. All the stories that are happening in our mind over and over again, they start to control our actions, and when we take those actions, we produce the results that we are producing ourselves. So, so if we look around us, how do we consume information? We go to Google News, we go to Facebook, we go to Twitter, LinkedIn. These are primarily our information sources these days, and they are nothing else but a bunch of AI algorithms. So these algorithms are not only controlling, but they are optimized to show us stories and news items that will sensationalize us, that will cause us some sort of anxiety, some sort of reaction they are looking for from us, because that reaction will convert into engagement, clicks, ad revenue for these platforms. So you can see the evidence that even now today, starting from 2008, presidential elections of US, which is the highest office in the whole world, arguably speaking, is influenced, if not controlled, by AI. So you can see the direct link between how AI is impacting human mind. But also the reverse is true as well. Like, the technology itself is neutral. So the same technology that can help us sort of become more anxious, we can use the same technology to help people think more positively, even achieve some meditative state of mind. So I'll give you a practical example of this. So we are all trying to achieve something in our life, right? So let's take a small goal that people have. Maybe they want to go on a picnic with their family in a couple of weeks, or they want to watch a movie, or what have you. You can go to ChatGPT AI, and you can share like 2 or 3 sentences about your goal, and you can ask it to write a very detailed story about your experience as if it has already happened. So you can say, okay, I went to the movies with my kids, and this was the name of the movie, and it was great. Write me a 2,000 word story in detail about my experience of going to the theater and enjoying the movie. And when you read that story, it'll actually bring that joy, even if that experience has not actually happened in your life. It'll help you simulate or feel that joy as you're reading the story. And then if you read it every day, like for 6 7 days, 10 days, many people will actually experience that manifesting in their life in reality. So
Wow.
that's like the power of your mind, and how AI can really enhance it.
So what you're saying is when people read everything out there, that's what they believe.
It
And
starts to
yeah,
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 yeah.
exactly,
I'm
exactly.
not trying to be political, but that's
Yeah,
what people just like
yeah,
take it for face value and
yeah.
don't question whether or not it's true or not. right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially if it's repeated, it's repeated multiple times. Subconsciously, it's layer after layer after layer of truth. Our truth becomes that truth which is being repeated to us multiple times.
How many times does it have to be repeated for it to become our truth? You know,
Generally, if it's like 4 or 5 times, if we see it from somebody, and this is a very deep topic, because we trust people who are in our peer groups, meaning who we consider as trustworthy, as our friends in the same social economic status. If you, as Ed, recommends a restaurant to me, I will. There's 95% chance I will take that recommendation. But if somebody I don't know recommends a restaurant, the same restaurant to me, most likely maybe 20% chance I will take that. So if we are looking at these sources and you repeat it maybe 2 times and we have a relationship, that's enough for me to change my worldview.
wow. And that's why there's such issues now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So how do we fix it? I mean, I don't want to get all the way to there yet, but because I see the issues already. I've been seeing it for a while.
mm,
I use Chat GPT all the time to create my podcast
yeah,
descriptions and openers, and because it's so easy, it
mm,
keeps the format. I might keep the same
mm,
format, just replace this, and in 2 seconds I'm done. It's helped
yeah,
me for copywriting, like like nobody's business, and I don't have to wait for other people to do it now.
mm,
Because I got to tell you, I'm a redneck. That was
yeah,
not my. I can talk, but
mm,
actually writing is not my forte.
yeah,
Even
yeah.
though I have a
Well,
book, yeah,
welcome to the club. I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
yeah. I can
Yeah,
talk and whatever. That's what. So for that, for me to be able to put a few things in there, tell it kind of what I want, and it to create, it's great for that. But my issue that I see is just like you said with AI. It's actually it can be used for good and bad, and I
yeah,
see it being used a lot more to control elections. I see what the CIA used to do for other countries is now doing for us, or using that same technology on us.
yeah, exactly,
And I don't want to be
exactly.
conspiracy theory and someone saying you're conspiracy. I'm just saying I can see how that could happen, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, see, conspiracy or not, even if you put the politics aside, we know that what we read online affects us in many ways. We can see, young people getting affected, suicide rates going up, divorce rates going up. All of these indicators are direct correlation to what we read online. And to now answer your question, how do we fix that? Is you know AI is here.
Or protect us. How do you
Yeah.
protect yourself? Yeah.
See, the thing is that AI as a technology is powerful, and we need to figure out a way to use the same technology to bring positivity. And a lot of people, including me, are involved in that effort, and the results are there. But unfortunately, what has happened is uh, all these large corporations have had a huge heads up, in relation to normal people like us, and they have amassed billions and billions and even trillions of dollars of money and power to be able to utilize these AI algorithms against us. The good thing that happened is now, with the release of ChatGPT, AI has become democratized and everybody can make use of AI. So I think the real game will start now, when most people can understand what AI can do, how these platforms work, and then we will be able to create a more counter force sort of effort towards these, the state of the world, if you will, and bring more positivity.
Right. I mean, because I used it for, I was being sued for my property I have because I closed off an easement, and I used it to create a legal argument both ways of what they were trying to do. And I handed it to my attorney. He's like, wow, that's really great research. It's like, no, I did Chat GPT and it
Yeah,
took
yeah,
me
yeah,
5 minutes.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I heard somebody else saying that somebody who had been working on their argument for 4 years, researching it and everything, and went to that and asked it, and it came up with the same argument that it took him 4 years to come up with.
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So
So that's the power of AI. I mean, and we can go down the list of so many more impactful ways AI can be used.
but I mean, but how do we, without restricting it and doing certain things, how can we put into place protections that, because I'm in marketing, I'm in sales, I'm in brand, I've been doing sales my whole life. I understand that if I send out a direct mail piece, I had in the past, someone had to see it 3 times in order for them to actually go, oh, I remember this person. I've seen it now 3 times. But what you're telling me, if I read it 3 times or 5 times, now I think that's the way it is. And that's why my kids, one of them who will just say whatever she reads and think it's the Oscar, the truth, whether it is or not. That's the problem, is they're reading it a few times and now thinking it's the truth.
Yes, yes. So to answer your question, see, whenever a new technology, especially such a disruptive technology, is introduced, there is a period of transition. There is a period of gray area where we don't know exactly how to use it, how to control it. For example, when Ford invented the motor car, the assembly line or Model T that they invented, it had to be started with a hand
Mm-hmm.
crank, and it was a wooden chassis, not very secure, lot of pollution, lot of noise, and that was the state of the automobile at that time. But it took some years for regulations to come in to create the infrastructure, the gas pumps, the roads, regulations around pollution and things like that. So right now, Europe, US, and Canada, and I believe a few other countries have a draft legislation on AI and how it can be used, how it can be used to create or deform facts, and how people should use it so that they are informed that everything that they read from AI is not actually factual. So that will come into the place. But in the meantime, we, we should start using it for low stakes, low stakes situations, just like you're saying, marketing and sales and things like that. But even for high stakes, for example, your legal argument, that's a high stakes
Mm-hmm.
situation. You can still use it and get advantage of it, but you can do your own fact check before you submit the document into the court or with a legal professional. It will still save you, years. Like, it's not going to cost you 4 years to get there. So the idea is that everything is coming, it will follow, but in the meantime, the more people use it, the better equipped they are. Plus, they will also highlight the problems, just like you mentioned. These are the problems that we need to fix for AI. AI is not like a thing that fixes everything. Every new solution, as we know, also brings about its own problem. So the more people use it, the more we realize, okay, what are the other problems we need to fix?
Yeah, for me, I don't always think government regulation is the right thing myself
Yeah.
personally, because sometimes I know with our industry, they didn't understand it and they overregulate it and they messed up many things. And
Yeah.
there's got to be a way that we can help police it itself, or have, another AI police who polices it. But
Yeah.
it's just, for me, it's really a game changer in what I can do and how I've done my life, and how
Mhm.
don't have, I use it for I helped, I had it write me a whole thing for the sales company that Brian and I are doing with Aces 53. I mean, the whole thing, and how to price it out for coaching and everything in that breakdown and what that included. I mean, I had it all done in 30 minutes, which normally
Mhm.
would have taken me a week or so to put all together and have somebody else
Yeah.
read it. And it's just
Yeah.
amazing, even though, but you have to know how to, you're only limited by what you know how to ask it.
Exactly, exactly. So that brings up a very good point, because it also relates to life in general. Like, people in the future, at least in the immediate future, people who can ask the best questions will win, because you progress more in your life, in personal life, professional life, and especially with AI. I mean, prompt engineering is becoming like a very lucrative field, where basically the people who can ask better questions, they can get the better output from AI as well.
Right. And it's just learning what your questions do and how it learns and how as you're teaching it for
Mhm.
one little thing. Because I mean, I have multiple different things that I've taught it, for doing different things because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it learns, and that's what's scary. And then I even have it where it can search the web currently and other things, right? Which a lot of people are like, huh? I thought it was only until
Yeah,
2021. Well, you add
yeah,
on these other things, and next thing you
yeah,
know, you can go elsewhere. Because I've been
yeah,
playing
yeah.
with it since December, where a
Mhm.
lot of people didn't get into it till a couple, a month or so or a few months
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
And once I found it, my wife's like, dude, I was like, this is so amazing. You know what I
Mhm.
did with it right now?
Mhm.
you know, and what a difference it makes. It really does.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're right. A couple things, it can control our election, and it has. And we have another one coming up. And so the question is, how do we make sure that doesn't happen again by putting out information out there? And a lot of the tech companies who released what they released or controlled certain departments of certain things about, no, this thing is a lie. That needs to get fixed so the truth gets out. But the worst part is that you have, and this is going to be a little political right now, you have newscasters who no longer just tell you the news, they put their interpretation on the
Yes,
news.
yes, yes, yes. Absolutely,
And that
absolutely.
and I'm actually seeing that in some of the AI. When you ask it a question about certain things, there is a slant that it has more than it does a different way. And so you just have to be careful. That the question is, how do we stop that? Is that grabbing it from what's out in the internet, or is that grabbing it from whoever set up the code? Do you know?
Can you repeat that question so I
Like
can?
what, when, because some of the, like when you ask it a certain question and it gives you an answer, sometimes it will go, I'll just example, it'll have a left slant on it, like more to the left versus to the
Okay,
in the
okay.
middle. And my question is that from searching the web, finding that information out there, or is it was programmed to do that?
I think it's a mixture of both, because what happens is that, as I said earlier, AI is a sort of a continuum of our own mind. So when we train these AI algorithms, whatever bias, whatever political sort of inclination that the person who's working on that algorithm has, it will show up. It'll permeate into the AI algorithm somehow, and it also relies on the data. So let's say if you're using data from um, uh, a state or a country which is more left oriented, then that will show up in the algorithm. If you're relying on the data that is more right oriented, it'll show up in the data. So it all depends, and this is, they don't reveal all that information, but whatever humans do, it AI is actually just reflecting the same thing.
But wait, but for me, I've found that most of us are in the middle. There's a
Mhm.
5% right and a 5% left, but mostly 90% of us live in the middle, whatever that is.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean they're an independent Republican or Democrat. They're just we all are kind of in that
Mhm.
middle. We have those fringes that are so loud. The question is, how do you get those fringes down so that we can get a normal
That's
answer?
okay. Beautifully. This is a beautiful intersection. See, what we just discussed earlier, at that we are both okay in talking and conversing with each other, but when it comes to writing, we struggle, because it's a in our mind was not designed to write, to like convert our thoughts into things that other people can understand. But now with democratizing this technology, more people in the middle, that 90% who always stayed quiet because
Yeah.
we said, oh, I can't express myself, they have the power to express themselves now. So hopefully those 5% on the fringes will get balanced with at least 10 to 15% of the population in the middle, speaking their mind now, sharing their ideas, and with shows like this becoming more and more prevalent, so that things start to balance out.
Gotcha. Because that's I always tell people what for most people who don't understand, it's like you go into a restaurant and there's that loud person in the bar that's so loud, and that's the right or left depending on where you're at, and you're just that normal person wanting to have a meal, and you're like, this is, and you either leave or you put up
Yeah,
with it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what I don't want to happen anymore. I want us to be able to communicate, because most of us can communicate. There are some people who can't communicate and they get upset instead
Yes,
of being
yes.
able to communicate. And so maybe
Yeah.
this will help them.
Yeah. And then the other thing is they get upset because they don't have any counter argument, or they don't know um, how to say, okay, I do disagree with your point of view, but the reason is because I believe this, or this has been my life experience. So these kind of arguments, people make professions by becoming good at giving these arguments, which are going to move the conversation forward, but don't bring the negativity into the conversation. Now with AI, everybody will have that skill if they choose to develop it, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I appreciate you being on the show today. Learned a
yeah,
lot from
absolutely.
you. Didn't
Yeah.
really hit the major problems, any mistakes you had along the way. Except for there was one that you talked about, and you overcame with through other stuff. And well, thank you for sharing that part of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
What's the best way for somebody to find you if they're looking out for you?
Yeah, so you can connect with me on all socials by going to manuj.ca, my first name.ca, or find me on LinkedIn, Manoj Aggarwal, or my website is the same, manujaggarwal.com.
And if you're looking for his website, it's manuj.ca.
Yeah.
Right. I just so people, not everybody knows how to spell your first name. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, of course, of course, of course. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's not like it's Ed, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I appreciate you coming on the show today. Really appreciate learning
absolutely.
from you and learning all the AI stuff that you're doing. And people reach out to him. He's a world of knowledge. Go to his website, check him out. He's got